Good morning. Welcome. My name is J.R.Anthony, and this is Tantra Love. Today, I wanted to talk to you about emotions and feelings. During the lockdown and the quarantine that we've been facing for the last 2 months or so, a lot of our emotions have surfaced to the forefront. Whether it's anxiety, whether it's deep-rooted fear, whether it's existential crises, or whatever the emotion was, anger, depression, or any other type of emotions that you can think about that surfaced within the last 8 weeks. The one thing that you should not do is to fight it, because when you fight it, that's when you lose the battle. The best thing to do, and it takes skills to do this, is to allow the feeling or the emotion to, you're the conduit between these, the outer world and the inner world. And these emotions are going to pass through you. It's going to go through you and manifest itself. So what you want to do, you want to allow yourself to be the conduit and allow the emotions to pass through you without interacting with it. So if you're angry, allow yourself to be angry. If you're happy, allow yourself to be happy. If you find yourself wanting to cry for no reason, allow yourself to cry. If you're having difficulties, consciously deal with it and see what you can do to help yourself. Because obviously your brain is telling your body, or your body is telling your brain something is wrong. And then you're dealing with the fight response of the brain stem. So you have to either talk yourself off the ledge or allow these emotions to pass through you, because it's not going to stay there forever. Sometimes it becomes a battle, especially if it's acute depression that's taking over you, that you have to keep fighting and fighting. And but don't allow it to get the better of you. Just allow it to pass through you, and it will eventually go away. For example, I found myself being in acute depression for about 21 days, more or less 3 weeks. And in the beginning, it was caused by the pandemic and the lockdown and the quarantine of not knowing for sure, the uncertainty of the whole scenario, and then not being able to work or get money, or where am I going to get my next meal from, or how am I going to pay, my bills, etc. But once those initial fears, once they subsided, everything started to make sense again. And then I had to keep talking to myself, and I had to keep making, as they say, I had to keep making sense out of nonsense. And I had to keep making situations and my world rational instead of irrational. And so as I worked my way out of it, and it was very difficult, it was not easy, it was a difficult struggle. But once I found myself out of it, I was able to navigate. And this is what you have to do, you have to navigate. So if you have kids and the kids are driving you crazy, don't scream and yell at them. Don't want to lash out at them. Don't want to, strike them or hit them. Find your balance. If someone at work or a coworker or your boss or, your superior is driving you crazy or saying something to you that you don't like, find ways of coping and dealing with it, and find the best possible solution. If you're having issues with your mate, with your partner, with your husband, with your wife, with your lover, find ways of dealing with it. Healthy ways. If talking doesn't work, try to maybe write a letter. Write your feelings out. Don't bottle your feelings up. Don't suppress your feelings, because that's when things start to get really bad. When you start to suppress your emotions, and the suppression turns into the little frustrations, the daily frustrations. When you don't deal with them, they start to add up into anger. And when you start to get anger, if you're not able to release the anger properly, they start turning into depression. And when you get into depression, sometimes you don't know how to get out of it. The other thing that you need to deal with is when a person has multiple things happening to them over a period of time. That can also cause depression. Children getting married, the emptiness syndrome, a death of a family member, a death of a child, a spouse, a parent, a friend, too many deaths happening rapidly in succession. Moving, changes, moving from one country to the next, moving from one city to the next, finding new friends. Different lifestyle changes can affect you when it comes to depression. Also, when you start to get stuck in a rut and you don't know what to do, and you don't have a support system, a healthy, good support system, this can also start to cause depression. So you have to find ways of dealing with it in a healthy manner. And you have to allow yourself the opportunity to fail, to fall flat on your face. Do not think that you have to be alpha or beta, or don't think that you have to be, successful at everything you do. Because when you set yourself up like this, you're setting yourself up for failure. And when you set yourself up in this manner, it can cause great stress and anxiety that can have you spiraling out of control. And the last thing you want to do is, when you're in a depressed state, you want to escape into drugs and alcohol and poor relationships, because you're not able to see your value, you're not able to see your worth, you're not able to see your contributions that you're making to the world. And oftentimes we beat ourselves up with our failures, or what we perceive to be failures. So take your time. You want to journal. Journaling is very important because it allows you to come back at a later date and see exactly what you have done. And when you add up all of the small little triumphs, all of the small, little wins, it's major, but yet we don't see them. And in a busy world, we don't have time to think about stopping by and smelling the roses, or having a break, or taking our shoes off and walking on the grass, or walking barefoot on the sand at the beach. We're so busy and we're so caught up in a world that sometimes it's created by illusions, it's created by fantasies, it's created out of loneliness, it's created out of not wanting to be alone. And we just run after these things that we think that's going to help us or assist us with our lives. But in actuality, it's all emptiness that we're dealing with. So if you can find healthy ways, healthy coping mechanisms to deal with the emptiness, to address the emptiness, and to find out what's really the core issue of that emptiness, you will find success. Until next time, this is Mark Anthony for Tantra Love. Talk to you soon.